What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Connected to the Web podcast. I'm your host, Joe Webb. Thanks for tuning in. I know there's a lot of things you can do with your time, and I appreciate you spending it with us. So I got a cool guest here in the insurance world, but it's a little different than you might think. So we're going to have some fun, learn a couple things, and introduce you to someone who you've probably seen at the grocery stores, driving around all the crazy red lights in downtown Bel Air. But now you're going to know who the face behind the name is and introduce you to somebody that is already your neighbor that you didn't know about. So good morning, Sully. Appreciate you being here. We have Sully Gerety from Gerety Insurance, man. What's up?
What's up, Joe? Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks, man. So I thought we were going to kind of pop your podcast cherry, but you did kind of do a little thing 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I had a little something with my marketing company, but
okay.
not as official as this.
Okay. Was there an American flag in the background?
There was not.
So it's your first time doing a podcast with American flag in the background?
And a legit mic.
And a legit mic. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Well, we're going to have some fun today. I really enjoyed hanging out with you, having coffee a couple weeks ago, and I learned a couple things, and I'm kind of in the business, so to speak, so I'm kind of excited what the audience would learn. But as we kind of shared, I think that, the companies are about the people, and you got a really cool story, man. So I kind of want to ask you about that. So your name is on your shirt, so that's pretty cool, okay? But before we get to that logo and where that brand came from, take me back, man, because there's something on your website. It's a pretty cool line that I told you about in your bio that I thought was pretty substantial. But take us back. You're growing up.
You want me to go way back.
Yeah, so we can go quickly, but what did your dad do while you were growing up?
So growing up, my dad started out, I was probably 3 years old, as a nationwide agent. And back then, that's all you could sell was the nationwide product, kind of like the State Farm, All-State model. And I wanted to work with him, since I was in second grade. Even wrote that on a bench that we did for, a school bull roast.
Yeah.
And lady a couple years ago who actually won that bench came up to my mom in the grocery store, was like, "Hey, did Sully ever get in the insurance business?" I always thought it was funny. He wrote that on the bench. She was like, "Yep, he actually did start working for Rick."
Matter of fact, he did. You actually wrote on there. Some kids wanted to be astronauts, cops, firefighters, and you baseball players, whatever sport. Yeah. And you said what on that bench?
An insurance agent.
That's
I
on
knew
his
I wasn't
bio.
Athletic back then. So.
Well, I just think that's so cool, man. So twists, turns, right? But you said that early, man, and I didn't realize that lady had that bench still. So that's pretty crazy. Was it actual park bench kind of thing?
Yeah, it was like a wooden bench that they then, I think all the kids wrote, in a black Sharpie, and then they stained it.
I was going to say black Sharpie, yeah.
It's still around.
Oh, my gosh.
I wish I could buy it from her.
Oh, that's coming, man.
I know.
Get her to put that in her will.
Give it to me, but.
Yeah, if she brought that up, and you actually said, yeah, it's like, can we have the bench?
Yeah.
But what's that lady's name?
I think it was Sandy Hudak, maybe?
Miss Hudak, if you're watching, we would like to have that bench at some point. No pressure. So go. All right. So go ahead. So all right. So you wrote that. Your dad's in the business early, working for some pretty big name companies. And when did he kind of break off and do his thing that you can remember?
So, gosh, he's had a couple offices that I was always doing work at, putting stamps on mailers.
Yeah.
Taking out the trash, mowing the lawn. But probably about 12 years ago, we went fully independent. So we went from not just having nationwide to having Travelers, Selective, Hartford Mutual, 30 plus companies
30.
now, which is great. Which allowed our little box of nationwide to then, where they had guidelines and rules, to now we can almost write any type of insurance for property and casualty.
Okay.
Which is great.
11 years ago, it's 2025. That's 2000 and I'm the math guy. This is
14,
bad.
15.
14, right? Yeah. So after the 7, 8, 9 drama, we're kind of getting back to normal with things, but it's before the big C word. So, okay, just kind of putting it in perspective. Keep going. Sorry.
So he did that. I graduated college in 2017. Went to Maryland. Coming out of school, wanted to work for him. Super excited to get that, offer. Yeah. And he was like, "You can't work for me."
Oh! So he said, "You can't work for me."
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Dad.
And I didn't have any money after college. I was living at home. Fortunate enough, he was like, I want you to get out, get some real world experience before coming to work for me. Which looking back
Hindsight.
was a great move. Because I was immature, and went and worked at J.P. Morgan for 2 years. Got a feel of the corporate world. Thought I wanted to stay in, go into banking, but I realized I wasn't going to move to Chicago or New York. So
again, this is a really great decision you're making at a young age that helped shape your career. I wouldn't want to either, but
yeah.
What was it about when you were in the banking and you're in that major sector? What kept pulling you back to the insurance world? What was it?
Seeing the success my dad has had,
Okay.
and wanting to work with him, wanting to work with local people. I wanted to go in and work with real people like me, have real conversations, and then actually provide some value to them, and help them protect their business as well as home and auto. And the banking side, it's pretty cutthroat. So is
Yeah.
the insurance business and sales.
I can vouch for that.
But I wanted to have control over my own destiny.
Yeah.
And not have some manager, decide on what I have my dad, but
It's a little different.
A little different. I have a little more control in my growth path and who I work with, and that's the best part about what we do is I get to work with business owners of all levels.
Yeah. Do you think that time away from your parents' business made you a stronger version of what you are today?
Totally. I would not have the same outlook or
Perspective or
that of what my dad has, created, started versus kind of getting into it as a young guy, not really having that level of respect.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. When he started, he reminds me all the time, I didn't take a salary for 2 years. So
he walked both ways without shoes uphill, right? That's awesome.
So no, but that hard work, and I've always had a job. Since I was 15, he would make me walk the lawnmower across Hickory Avenue to our office.
Oh yeah.
So I've been a part of a hardworking family, which I'm fortunate of.
And you got to see that firsthand.
Yeah, and so taking me back, 6-7 years ago, started at our office. We were Rick Gerety and Associates at the time.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, you probably saw our sign on Hickory Avenue.
Yeah.
We used to have a little blue circle with a dog in it.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, and then probably we wanted to get into some more marketing. We met with, I'll give her a shout out, or she at Brand 3.
Okay.
Great local branding marketing company. If
we'll put her logo up when we do the episode.
Rebranding.
Awesome.
Interviewed a few marketing companies. They kind of gave us the packages of Facebook ads, Google ads,
Yeah.
Met with her, and she goes, we didn't even know her. We called her too, randomly found her on Google, and she goes, "What's up with the dog? Like, what's that out? You guys specialize in pet insurance?" So Rick's face a little dropped on that.
Branding conflict, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you drive, you might think it's a vet, maybe an attorney, or nonprofit even for animals. So
what a good point.
Yeah, and Rick, when he went from Nationwide and that logo, had to make his own. He's like, everyone loves dogs.
Yeah.
So, which they do, but not very insurance driven. So went through this whole process with her, and talked about to Rick, what's your succession plan?
Yeah.
And the goal is for me to buy him out, and actually became a little part owner this year, which is fun.
That's a big deal.
And so that's how Gerety Insurance got formed. We went from Rick Gerety and Associates,
right,
to Gerety Insurance. New colors, new website.
When was that crossover from the brand A to brand B?
That was probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so that's not that long ago.
No.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago. Was it during the Big C or after the Big C?
It probably started during.
Okay, so you were having those conversations when things were a little crazy outside.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just a perspective for where in the timeline.
Yeah.
Because that's a big time. A lot of people were freaking out trying to figure out how to keep their business plan moving forward when the pandemic was kind of, closing off certain roads for a lot of businesses.
Totally. And I was probably a year into the business and trying to, gain clients. I was making a bunch of cold calls, trying to build rapport.
Yeah.
Get into some, help people with their insurance and start building. And when COVID hit, I was like, oh gosh,
this is interesting.
This is the right path.
Yeah.
we don't know if we're staying open. And, it was scary
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a lot of businesses persevered and got through it all.
Yeah.
So
Thank goodness.
back to some normalcy. But yeah, that was a scary time.
So I got a weird question. This is a curveball. Okay. This is a metaphorical curveball. So do you think seeing businesses and business owners and small businesses obviously drive America in Harford County? Small business drives a lot of Harford County. Do you think that it was a Darwinism of some sorts? Unintentionally, I wouldn't want any business to not succeed because that's a family behind it, right? But do you think it was kind of Darwinism where the businesses that were leveraged and built to succeed beyond a pandemic made it because they were supposed to, and the ones that didn't and had to redirect, maybe rebrand? I think that was kind of meant to be kind of thing. Did you sense that as well? Like maybe it was some tough lessons families were learning, but lessons that had to be taught.
Yeah, I think so. I think it taught us that there were a lot of businesses stuck in the past
Mm.
technology wise.
Yeah.
I'd say the ones that didn't make it probably weren't adopting to the change.
Right.
You look at restaurants; they were hit probably the hardest out of
Absolutely.
any industry in the hotel hospitality. They adopted. All right, well, we didn't do delivery before. Let's get some drivers in
Yeah.
here. Let's figure out how we keep our people employed while we're doing all this carry out. DoorDash, Uber, that became a lot more popular
Yeah.
at that time. So I give them a lot of credit. But we were pretty fortunate. Insurance is a pretty crash resistant, recession proof
Right.
business in the
Yeah.
sense that we gotta have it. We have to have it.
And a lot of people
But-
were downsizing and right sizing during that 2020 22 period, and
Yeah.
at least your property and casualty side probably experienced that surge as well. People were kind of making some moves or whatever, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a
I'd
tough
say
thing.
we saw a lot of clients moving out of state too.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
about to say that a
Lot
lot
of
of people
really-
actually left the state, and
Mhm.
we also got some people too. But yeah, that was really interesting. I'll tell you, it's insurance is one of those things where I would imagine the average person, and I know you're on the commercial side. We'll get to that in a second. The average person doesn't even realize how important it is until you need it, right? On the lightest version, where one insurance that's forced is automobile insurance, right? You may not realize what your coverage is or isn't until that moment, and either you're gonna wipe your brow in relief, or you're gonna start sweating in fear, and it's just a powerful thing for you guys to be in that business and have those conversations. And we'll talk about why local is important in a minute. But I want to skip over something. So, do you have a family?
Got married last fall.
Okay.
My beautiful wife Courtney.
We don't want to skip over
So-
Courtney. Congratulations, Courtney. All right. So last fall, which was fall of 20. My gosh, because we're
4.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
I think we're in 26.
How long did you guys date before then?
We were together about 3 years before that.
Okay.
So
So there's an overlap there where your career started to take another layer, another version in Rick Gerety Associates, and then your relationship started to get a little serious. That's kind of neat how they overlapped.
Totally. We met very, I never thought I had an internship with a guy. He was like, yeah, I met my wife on Tinder or Bumble at the time. That was
Okay.
when it was newer. And I met Courtney on Hinge, which I never in my life thought I'd meet someone on a dating app.
Yeah.
But she's my best friend. We laugh together.
Oh man, that's
have
awesome.
a lot of fun. She's already knocking on the door when are we having kids. So I'm sure that's coming soon.
As we're recording this, my kids are going back and forth like there's some magical race upstairs, like Mario Kart in my house. I can hear them pitter pattering back and forth, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill them. And it's always like, I'm gonna have some. So different phases. I'll tell you when we started having kids, one of the things, and this is a total layup for you, Sully, but we had a conversation almost immediately when we found out we were going to start a family of what does legacy look like? What kind of protection do we need? I can honestly say that we never had that conversation before. It was always a price point conversation and that's it. But I remember having a conversation with my wife about, what about this? What if that? And those are tough conversations to have. And it was a little longer for me. My oldest is 16, so it was a long time ago. But that 16 years ago was 2008, 2009. So there was a lot of weird stuff going on there, right?
Mhm.
So we were really sensitive to the what ifs of the world. So it's neat how your perspective is going to change as you and your wife begin to make these decisions. There's no right or wrong time. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. But it's cool that you're going to start seeing the fruit of some of the conversations and seeds you've been planting with your clients. It's a little different perspective, man, on your own.
Oh, I bet. And I'm already kind of a paranoid insurance guy.
That's probably makes you good at your job.
But I guess so. Thank you. And you kind of hit the nail on the head before, where you have to have auto insurance, which I know is not everyone wants that. Everyone kind of hates talking
sexy
about it.
Yeah.
So you said it in a very nice way, that you have to have this product. You kind of you hate it until you need it.
Yeah.
Which I get, and I get that. The industry has changed a lot. You know, and you don't understand. You hate what you don't know, and
you fear what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to have those uncomfortable conversations because, like you said, you fear what you don't know. You typically don't want to talk about it. You made the point. You're forced to, in some situations when you bring in kids in your life.
Yeah.
Need a life insurance policy now.
Those conversations in mid-20s are almost awkward, right? You're like,
it is.
When you say the word life, it's a different perspective in your 20s, and now I'm 44. It's the vibe's a little different.
Oh, totally.
Retirement is a different vibe when you're in your 20s. And then when you're in your 40s, it's a little different. Not better or worse, it's just different.
And when you're young, you don't think anything bad can happen to you.
Yeah.
You kind of have that
invincibility complex.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, I insure quite a few of my friends, and I can totally see the difference between the 30, late 20, 30-year-old crowd, then you have the 50, 60 crowd,
Yeah.
Totally different mindsets, but at the same time, if you're in, anyone can get into an accident. Anyone's house can catch on fire. So you got to make sure you got the right coverage.
Yeah, I'll share an experience that happened, I think 3 or 4 years ago with my mom. It really opened my eyes to your business, and I'd love to get your perspective on that on air. It'd be kind of neat. Yeah, so I want to kind of talk about a situation I had with my parents, and it really opened my eyes in terms of property and casualty. And because you weren't their insurer, I won't. There's no pressure on you, and I won't list the name because it's a pretty big name for it. So my mother buys a house. She lives in Baltimore County for 25 years. Wants to live closer to my family because my other siblings are kind of spread out all over the state and the East Coast with some army in there. And loves the house, moves in, fantastic. My mom has COPD. It's not advanced, but she has it. And she was just having issues, just kind of randomly. And we're like, what's going on, right? My stepdad, he's like, we can't figure it out. It just kind of came out of nowhere, right? Couldn't figure it out. Obviously, the doctor's like, you have mold in your house. And she's like, I think I would know if I had mold. He's like, well, you might not, actually, So I don't know what happened. And they have a bathroom. They want to do some renovations. So they open up the walls. Bang, black mold, right? So her first instinct was, I got to get out. So she was gone.
I let her
help, Yep. So that's a big challenge, right? It's not like it's a renovation project where you're inconvenienced. It was immediately threat to her life immediately. She couldn't be in her house. Like, my mom's a badass lady, but you don't mess around with that, That's the devil you can't see right there, literally and physically. So she's panicking. We're out. She's out. I'm like, look, call the insurance company, just have a conversation about what was kind of thing, right? Turns out there was a leak from outside coming through. It wasn't even major, but it had been going on for years.
Wow.
So the insurance company, I'll make a long story short, tried to let them down easy and say, listen, you're not going to want to hear this, but you don't have a mold endorsement on your policy.
Wow.
And my mom's like, what is that? And they explained. And she said, nobody offered that to me. I have COPD. If anybody would have even mentioned, do you want to add this? I would have strongly considered it. How much is it? And I think the answer was an extra $50 a month or something. And she's like,
maybe even 50 a year.
It was very, and I made up the 50, by the way, because I don't know my mother's finances, but she said it was insignificant is what her words used, right? And she said, don't you think I would have paid that if I would have protected my life here? Like, this is a big deal. And at that point, I had to step in and just help my mom sort it out that, yes, there maybe was a tough situation that happened, but in that moment, they didn't do anything wrong. It was the initial conversation and creation. Mm-hmm. So that was a tough lesson. And she was very upset. And the implications of that lack of coverage was a major out-of-pocket cost. Oh. To which, this is 4 years ago, she's still dealing with that. everything's fine now. The
Well,
mold's gone.
it's a process to remediate too.
Oh my gosh. And you know what happens is you open up one wall and it's like the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just wall, wall, wall. Ended
Yep.
up being half the basement.
Oh my gosh.
So, long story short, she's fine now, all good. But I bring that up in context of our conversations because what I realized is in the initial conversation, even if my mother had, which I don't think she did, been premium based, even if she said, which she didn't, I
Mhm.
want the lowest policy no matter what, right? There's still a conversation that could have, and I would argue should have, just about who my mother was, right?
Totally.
Who are you? What's up? Where are you from? What should I know? At some point, I feel like a health conversation may have come up, even to recommend other products. And when my mother said, I have stage 2 COPD, I feel like any reasonable person would have said, hey, we should probably talk about a couple options to protect you, right?
Yeah.
But that conversation never happened. So, I'm not putting you on the spot. That wasn't you. Anybody that worked for you, it was a large national company. There was no local rep, whatever. So, there's no plausibility here, no issues. But talk to me about that situation. And I think that's where some of the magic is because we're going to get into why local matters in our next segment. But I'm really stressing, even with me being in the mortgage business since I was 18 and I'm 44, that's the single greatest failure that I ever witnessed of just having a conversation with a potential client. And I say failure because it was a
Mhm.
failure. Not legally, right? There's no legal action there. It was just a shame it didn't happen. But what goes through your mind when I share that story about maybe shoulda, coulda, woulda? Is there anything that pops up? And I'm moving the light on your head now. It's a direct answer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you kind of touched on it was a big national, firm, probably a call center where it's someone that's in there just to process. You know, here's what you get what you asked for in that sense, and not a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people study insurance so at night. They read policy forms. Um, but like you said before, people don't know insurance unless you're in
Yeah.
it, and I think part of what we do is that we do get to know our clients. Being from the area, connecting relationships. You start those conversations. You start,
Yeah.
you know, where'd you grow up? And, then that conversation about her health might have trickled in, raised a flag,
Yeah.
um, and mold is a weird one. Um, mold and shade insurance claim wise, sudden and accidental is the best, good rule of thumb. Mold takes time, but mold is a coverage as well.
Yeah.
Not a claims adjuster, can't say anything to that. Um, but and what we try to do is you come to us, everyone's like, we want apples to apples. We don't like that term at all.
Understandable. To a
But
layperson.
correct. And so the best way to talk to someone about coverage is just showing them what they have currently and how you match that, and
Yeah.
then saying, hey, and we go through all these optional coverages. Um, I wouldn't say we go through every single one; they don't all apply.
No, right.
But we have in our office about 10 to 15 that we make sure we talk to everyone about: the mold, the roof and siding matching endorsements, the water backup,
Oh yeah.
the additional replacement cost on your home when building costs go up and
Hmm.
your building costs more to build. Got to make sure you have that cushion. Um,
Yeah, that's a hidden danger people don't
so
realize about that either,
yeah,
too.
well, and it bums me out to see that your mom was all just by asking a few questions,
Yeah.
she missed, I'd say missed, but lost that ability to gain that coverage.
Yeah, I like the way you answered that, Sully, because it's I think ultimately it leads into what we're going to talk about next, right? Like why should I care if my insurance agent is in the same zip code as I, right? Like maybe let's go down that road, have a conversation. But before we do that, I've made several mentions to where local comes in. Tell us how local you are because some people listening are going to know exactly where you are, but they may not have realized that when they're going from point A to point B.
So our office, if anyone knows where the Bel Air American Legion is, you might have gotten pit beef there on Saturdays.
There's a cannon there.
Cannon. We are right across the street from there.
Okay.
So if you ever need parking, feel free to park across the street on our
Okay.
lot. So right near St. Margaret's. So we're, with walking distance to town.
Yeah.
And gosh, that road, I grew up a street right across the street from there. That road didn't have many cars on it when I was growing up. And
Wow.
now,
You're not that old, so for you to say that's pretty significant.
yeah, well, I guess 15 years ago when I was 16.
I'm not that old either, by the
But
way, just so we're saying.
and the traffic's really increased. I mean, just the population in Bel Air has
Yeah.
increased, which we're fortunate enough. We're in a great location.
Do you have someone sitting there in case somebody walks in?
Yeah. So,
Awesome.
we got our team. We have about 10, 11 members right now.
Great.
All, I'd say all except two are from Harford County, and live in Harford County.
Are the two transplants, or are they just living somewhere else and coming in here?
They, our commercial account manager, she does live in Virginia.
Okay.
It's extremely hard role to fill, so we had
Yeah.
to kind of still in the Mid-Atlantic, and then we actually have a virtual assistant
Okay.
in the Philippines. Who's typically you have like 2 or 3 different virtual assistants a
Oh, that's
year.
cool.
Nora Lynn, and I was warned that before bringing her on by
Yeah.
her team. It's just the culture over there. She's been with us almost 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
And she
What a great
loves-
match.
Yeah, and it speaks a lot.
I've never
to-
heard of one lasting that long.
Yeah. And she reminds us all the time how much she enjoys working with us. I'm
Oh, man,
grateful.
that's super cool.
So I'm very, it kind of speaks a lot to my team and how they work together.
But the point is, most of them are local. With those two remote
Correct.
positions, I think their positions don't really have a local
no,
presence anyway, right? But
they're not.
that's super cool. So you're a local company, raised, your family is local, and your employees are local. I mean, that
Exactly.
makes a difference. So maybe let's let's go down that road a little bit metaphorically. Excuse me, physically and geographically. So we're on that road. We're on Main Street, and you can walk in if you want. There's someone there, which is great. So let's talk about why that matters, right? Versus, and I won't use another name, versus somebody else, the big company that maybe my mom used, right? Let's kind of go down that road and see if we can teach the audience something on why it counts. If you're cool with that.
Totally.
So if I had to ask you, let's start in one spot, and I'll let you kind of organically move out of that one spot into the next idea. But if I had to ask you on the spot, literally with lights in your face, why does it matter if you are a local insurance agent? What would be your direct response to that question?
That's a tough one, Joe.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of answers. There's a lot of angles to it.
What's your first instinct when I throw that question at you? Like, there's got to be something that rises first. What's your first instinct to that response?
It's we know the area. We can come out and see you, and we probably can make a connection. Here in at least Harford County and the Maryland area, you're always, 2 friends away from somebody.
Yeah, or a little Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Degrees
that's
of
what
Kevin
I'll say.
Bacon.
Degrees
Yeah.
of Kevin Bacon. So there's the value there. Knowing even as simple as knowing the weather around here. I don't.
Oh, that's a good one.
In Florida, totally different risk.
Totally different
than what's in Maryland. Different coverage.
It's a good extreme.
Different carriers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at, a lot of agencies here. I could probably name 5 to 10 between Baltimore and Harford County that have sold out to big conglomerates or venture capitalists. And, one reason is a lot of those guys are my dad's age. They're ready to retire, and they don't have anyone in their office to succeed.
They don't have a Sully.
No. Yeah, and a lot of kids. God, I won't say kids. I'm 30 now, but younger people aren't getting into the business, which makes me sad. But so one thing I see is all right. There's a lot of consolidation. There's a lot of consolidation to big companies that are going to come in, and you've seen it. Get rid of the long-term client service staff that know you, know your client, know your situation, know your kids' names. Transferred them to the call centers, and not the same as mold, but that person in Utah has no idea what's going on in Maryland. They don't know the state laws like we do. So that's why we try to just stay in our Mid-Atlantic region. Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia. It's kind of our box, put it that way. And I've seen policies just completely written wrong from a broker in California.
Wow.
Different coverages. I mean, from
For
Maryland.
Maryland. The
Yeah,
broker's in California, but the property's in Maryland?
correct.
Wow.
I mean, you even can look at, you go 10, 20 minutes up the road, Pennsylvania has completely different auto coverages than we do, and
Wow.
here in Maryland. So I think you got to know, having someone within your region is extremely important.
Yeah.
One, like I said, the weather, kind of a silly one, but to know, or, we send our clients emails, or, hey, this big storm's coming. Make sure your trampolines are tied down, your pool covers are on,
Dude,
things
those
like
things can
that.
be rockets.
Um,
Those big trampolines,
oh,
they
yeah.
can do some damage in a windstorm. I've seen it.
We get a couple calls a year. Trampoline flew into a house or car.
Oh,
Um, Here's a great example: the explosion that happened in Abingdon.
oh man.
Um,
Yeah.
That's extremely unfortunate event, but that house, it caused damage to 165 other houses in the
I
area.
heard there was a ripple effect that was really profound.
It was. We had clients; they didn't know what to do. Probably had 4, 5, 6 in that area. Um, Being local, I was able to get connected with the Hartford County, head engineer. Had a great conversation with him because he was on the ground and went into every single one of those homes.
Wow.
So just being able to help facilitate our clients claim wise as well, um, connecting with local contractors, even
That's
local
huge.
officials.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
I think one of the things that kept going in my head, and you almost said the words, and we have a little bit of an age gap, so if you don't know this reference, you're going to embarrass me. Um, but the Cheers reference, the show Cheers, the bar show where it's like everybody knows your name.
Hmm.
I almost got that vibe, like it was on the tip of your tongue, that you actually know some of your customers. Now, I'm not going to be presumptuous. You're not going to know every one of your customers by first name, but there's a really good chance if you're in the area that you do. And there's a
Definitely.
0% chance if you call XYZ nationwide, not the brand, just the actual nationwide company, they
Yeah,
can't possibly know who you are because you're one of a million customers.
exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
that's huge.
and that's part of the reason I, want to stay in, chose to go into this business and want to stay local for the next
Yeah.
20, 30 years. Um, and I won't lie, I do, it's a selling point for us in our agency is that, hey, your agent's retiring, your business is still going to be around the next 15 years. So am I.
Mm,
Let's
so am I.
let's talk.
How's that for
I'm not
a
leaving.
sales line?
Yeah.
So am I, by the way.
And most, and I don't know, in the mortgage business too, you see a lot of people come in and exit. I think
That's
it's,
correct.
2/3 of agents leave the business.
Wow.
So
It's
after
about that for me too.
after about 2 years. So
2 years is your number?
yeah.
Yeah, it's close to that on my end too. Just this past year, we had a 66 cents attrition rate. 66% of people did not renew their license in the state of Maryland,
Wow.
which means the competition went down to 1/3. Now it's still tough, but like we have the same
Wow.
thing too. And again, at those nationwide companies, right? They're hiring and firing every day. So
Oh,
the likelihood that you get a hold of a person who has 20 years of experience versus 20 days of experience is very likely,
oh,
to have that
exactly.
disparity, and you won't know, and they won't know either. Yeah, I think that's huge, Sully. And so many of my podcast episodes, I brought this term up that I kind of made it up, but I'm starting to believe it's there anyway, and it's business intimacy.
Hmm.
It's kind of a funny word to say it that way, but it's that actual relationship where you can shake a hand, look someone in the eye, even if you don't have to shake every client's hand. The fact that they can call you or drive up there and say, "Ah, man, we got an issue. We got to go see Sully," right? Or
Yeah.
one of your team members. The fact that that is on the table is so huge. And you pointed to the opposite of the business intimacy, which is the lack thereof for these massive companies that are consolidating and eating each other almost, right?
Yeah.
These huge mergers and acquisitions where 2,000 employee company picks up 1,000 employees. You're just a number at
Yep.
that point. And that's the model. And I'm not knocking it, but that's not the Gerety model. I'm interpreting if that's correct.
Yeah. You're not a number, and our tagline is partners for your protection.
Oh,
And
that's great, man.
thank you.
I
And
like
it took
that.
a while to get to that because we wanted it to sound real, and come from the heart.
Yeah.
And we can confidently, we made everyone go around and say the different 5, 10 we had, and everyone said that one most confidently, because that's who we try to be.
So your teammates and staff were involved in making a motto. I mean, that
Yeah.
itself is great about local. I mean, they have some skin in the game. They
Oh,
can go home that day and say, "Oh man, I was part of making, helping the company brand today." Like that's just so special, man.
totally.
That's awesome.
And I think, and this is kind of a little side to this, but my dad, when I started, I didn't like meetings. I thought they were a waste of time.
Yeah.
Um, and over the years, our meetings have progressed, become more organized, and now the team enjoys coming to those meetings. We have uh, a sales meeting with the sales team every week, and then we have a commercial and personal lines meeting each week. So you
Awesome.
look at it, 3 hours out of your week's not that much to get together, talk about problems, solve issues, and
Be on the same page.
yeah, and I think that's huge.
I saw the other day, by the way, that you have a lot of happy customers online.
We do. Our agency just crossed over 475 5-star Google reviews. So
It's
kind of a
hard to
mouthful.
mess that up, man. That's congratulations. That's a big deal. I feel
Yeah.
like people are very bold on the keyboard. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. So if you guys were doing something wrong, man, that would have pissed somebody off, and I'm sure it would have came up. So to have 475 Google reviews, and I know not every customer leaves one. That's a big deal, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
and it goes to show a lot of how my team interacts with our clients, in that they're doing a good enough job, or the best job they can, to where that person feels the need to let others know. And that's one of the biggest compliments you can ask
And I
for.
do know that on Google is you can't necessarily change their remarks. So even if they were mildly happy or mediocre, and you said, "Could you give me a review?" They would put mediocre.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have so many 5-star reviews, again, there's no way to mess that up unless you have a really awesome bot system. No, I'm just kidding. That's a big deal.
We're very fortunate, from our team to the clients we work with. Um, and I will say that we get calls all the time. Hey, I read your reviews and I want to work with you.
Oh,
And so
that's fantastic.
it's huge.
Okay, good.
And it's that real feedback that you can't get from a website. You
Totally.
can't get from going around something like this. I can't say what our clients have to say about us.
Yeah.
So I'd love, if anyone is looking at Gerety Insurance, to just check out a few of our reviews.
Check the
see what
reviews.
our clients have to say.
I mean, that's a testimonial, right? A review is a testimonial, and it's unadulterated because you can't go in and edit that review. So that's fantastic. Well, congratulations, man. That's a big deal.
Thanks, Joe.
Does your dad like those reviews?
He loves them.
Okay.
His goal is to get, if we don't get one a week, there's a contest in place on who's getting it first, because we want our people to ask,
Yeah.
and we want our clients to say what they think about us, and that's the best feedback we can get.
A company that asks people to leave reviews in a public space where they can't control what they write is confident in the product they're delivering, and that's what that says to me, being a business person. So
Never
good
thought
for
of
you
it like
guys,
that.
man.
That's a great point.
If you were nervous about that, you wouldn't be pushing it, right? So the fact that you're so confident in what you're delivering to your local community, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Well, thank
Awesome.
you. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
So you mentioned the word broker, I think I heard, right? So you guys are an insurance broker.
Correct.
Is that the correct term to use?
To all my surplus insurance brokers out there, we are a retail broker.
Okay.
But,
Okay. So that I do the same thing in my world because it gives us options, right?
Yeah.
Is that better for the consumer in your eyes to have that breadth of your scope of coverage?
Definitely.
Okay.
It helps price wise. You don't want to shop your insurance every year. You don't want to have that history.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It's like getting a girlfriend every year. You don't want that.
Nobody wants that either. Some people do.
And then after 5 girlfriends in 5 years, no one wants to date you again. So
awesome.
that happens in the insurance. So we promise our clients, one, if you have a crazy rate hike, we're going to look out for you.
Okay.
3 to 5 years is what you want to look at, from a shopping perspective. And the ability with a broker, when you just have nationwide, you can only do so much. Where we have, 10 different home carriers. Or, Joe, you come to me and you say, hey, Sully, I'm buying a beach house. These there's only certain companies that write down on the coast.
Okay.
So,
Good point.
having 3 or 4 coastal carriers allows us to then our clients can have all their policies in one place.
So if I can, you've kind of chose to go away from the property and casualty into the commercial space, right? Is that
Still
your
property. It's all property
Oh,
casualty.
so you just
but
corrected me. That's
We
great.
just
Okay.
don't do health insurance or life insurance.
Okay, so
Sorry.
you kind of go to the commercial side of that. So let's let everybody know what you in particular, Sully Gerety, does and how we can help your business because you are local and part of this podcast is about supporting those local businesses. So let's kind of chat about what you do and how we can help you, if that's cool with you.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay. So I ask most of my guests the same questions, but I'm really interested to hear your answer to a couple of these, and I'll tell you why in a second. So my question to you is, who is a good referral to you? This might be the layup. The other one's not. Next one's not a layup. Who's a good referral to you and your business? Who's somebody that would benefit from your team and your products?
Tough question in a world that we can write insurance for anyone and almost anything.
Yeah.
But, I'd say anyone that has a home that cares about it.
That's a great start.
2, has kids because I think a lot of
Ooh,
times,
yeah.
like you said in the beginning,
Yep.
Insurance becomes a little more important when you have others, in your mind to
Yeah.
protect. And from a business insurance side, a local business owner, typically under 100 employees in the area,
Okay.
from contracting to property, to even your, local retail Main Street shop.
And they can be customers for you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's switch the gears. This is might be a little tougher, maybe not. You tell me because you nailed that one, bud. What about a referral from another business to you who might not be your customer, but might help spread the good word, the Gerety word in the community? What's a good business referral for you? Someone who's watching or someone connected to the Webb network who might benefit from communicating and connecting with you?
I think, for me personally,
Sure.
if you're, own any commercial property, I do have a strong, connection with brokers and carriers on that side. And I'd say this too, we do very well with contracting risks, meaning your electricians, your plumbers, paving companies, home builders. Majority of our book of business is that industry. So we know the ins and outs. We know what kind of service you need. Everyone's a little different, but the coverages that are important.
So small business owners, property owners, commercial property owners. What about the agents and the sales staff who sell and buy and lease the commercial properties? Are they good connections for you at all?
The realtors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they use different terms, right? So I think it's the commercial agent certainly to acquire or sell a property, but then you have property managers. Is that a good contact for you, the property manager, after the buyer sale's already happened?
If you're a property manager listening, I'd love to talk to you.
That was a good one.
I work with multiple property. Forgot to say that. The property managers, they drive a lot of the insurance for condos, associations, the big industrial parks. We insure quite a few of those.
So a good conversation can happen with a property manager about their current coverage and protection, and if there's opportunities to help serve them better, right?
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay.
And Joe, I think a good way to put this is property, especially the commercial property. It's you set it and forget it.
Okay.
And I've seen policies in place that are 20 years old that are just underinsured, completely wrong, and having. Like I said in our weekly meetings, we look at our renewals 60 to 90 days out to what's going on with those clients.
Wow.
And so on the commercial property side, it's I think it's important having someone one knows the market and has your back because historically it's that.
I can't believe you just said people have the same policy for 20 years. Like if they haven't adjusted that policy to the environment, the financial markets, to their actual values may have changed, probably positively, and the coverage just might be grandfathered to the original concept.
100%.
That's a big opportunity too, is just to review your coverage. and understand what it is. If I was to put you on the spot, 100% being I'm basically an owner of a policy and know it as much as you, which is probably nobody. 0% means I couldn't tell you anything about it, how much it costs, or anything. Where do you think most Americans, or more importantly, most Harford County, Northern Maryland, Baltimore County folks are in their understanding of their policies? Just your gut here on a 100 scale.
Just from pure conversation, most people end up learning about their policies when they've had a claim. So, if you've had claims and you've been in that, you had to learn almost what's covered, what's not. You've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little more understanding. But if you hear all the time, I've never had a claim, and that.
Ooh, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Which is great. But you still need protection because of that what if moment. And those are, we're here to educate. We're not here to sell you. Like I said, we go through those optional coverages. I tell everyone, look, I'm not trying to increase your premium. We're going to have a conversation about these endorsements. And if it makes sense, then we can add it on. And if not, then we don't, and that's just being upfront and honest with people.
So we just had an insurance agent say, I'm not trying to increase your premium. I think that's a really great place to start. And in that honesty and integrity, right? We just want to have a conversation about your coverage. That's your expertise. And you want to just communicate about what you need, what you have, if there's any gaps there, and so forth. You did a really good political answer. You might not be local politics in your future one day because you didn't actually answer my question. I don't know if you dodged it on purpose or you had an idea there. So I'm going to go back and put you on the spot. What do you think a percentage of people that really understand their policies are out of 100?
50.
That's half.
Half.
I got a feeling you're going to say something around that, which half the people have done their research, understand their policy, and they have a good sense that meets their needs. That's a beautiful thing. The other side of that coin is half the people do not understand their coverages. They're under or overinsured for whatever reason, or they're missing parts of the coverage that they need, like my mother. My mother was one of those 50% where, to her own credit, she didn't do the research, but she also wasn't asked, and it almost cost her life. So this is serious stuff we're talking about, you know? I think that's profound. 50% of people is profound. That's a huge opportunity for someone. And again, I can't imagine if you call the 888 numbers that you're going to learn a whole lot. Maybe. And I'm not trying to put anybody down.
Maybe 1 out of 10 people will be willing to dive into that.
There are a whole lot of things in life where 1 out of 10 is good. So, okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and this is a little weird too, and I like to have some fun. But Sully, what makes you different? I am in an industry where there's a lot of saturation. There is a mortgage guy every 100 yards everywhere in the country, including Harford County. I like to think I'm different, and I can answer that question. But I'm going to ask you, because there are a lot of agents around. You see some of them on TV, or you see someone somewhere. What makes you different, bud?
We're in the same boat. There's a ton of agents in Harford County.
Yeah.
Not as many because they're selling. But what makes us different from an office level? It's our people, our core values: transparency, proactive, fun, and relationship oriented.
Wow.
Those hit home, and that's what with tagline, our team developed together, because that's the most real that came from us. And for me, it's not just knowing that I'm going to work hard for you because my name's on the sign. Is that I find it a lot of people don't like to have the tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I try, and my promise is that I'm going to be the most real and honest with you. In that,
people need that, man.
And that's not a lot of people in the sales. We're still in sales, and I find that lacks a lot. And I think that's the promise I can give to you. Yeah. I'm not going to beat around the bush. If the market's super hard, we're gonna do our best to find you the best policy possible.
Yeah.
But if sometimes you can't, and that's what my promise is to be real and honest.
Well, I think real and honest is a hell of a good answer, and because those are part of my core values, they almost seem like, oh, yeah, everybody has that. But I am very surprised that that is not the driving force behind a lot of my competition, and I'm sure with yours as well. So I'm glad you said that. So that leads me into one of the final things I want to ask you. So you've got this great story, a wonderful family story, American story where the dad decided to do something, you inspired his kid. Little tough love saying, hey, now you're work age, but you can't work with me. You went out into the world, kind of learned what strengths and weaknesses you had, came back, and your dad knew he had the foresight to know you'd be a better employee that way. And then being a better employee provided the opportunity for you to be a better owner, which now you're part of. Your family's growing, maybe not as fast as mine did, but it's starting to grow. You're having these conversations. You got a beautiful wife, Courtney. All these things in life, man. Have you figured out your superpower yet?
Man, that's tough, Joe.
Yes.
Um,
Sometimes there's origin stories in Marvel where they don't know yet. So if you haven't figured it out, it's okay. But what do you think your superpower is, Sully?
I guess having the charisma and being honest and a good person.
Okay.
That's kind of what my goal is in life. If I see, and I know this is kind of cliche, but if I see a piece of trash on the ground, I'll pick it up and put it in the trash can. Courtney got yelled at me the other day walking. I walked away in the Staples parking lot to do that. But I try to. You be good to others, and they'll be good to you.
Yeah.
Good things will come. And I'd say, it may not be a superpower, but I think it's a rule that I live by.
I think charisma is a heck of a power, man. The funny thing that when you said that is, and I don't want to take away for how good of an answer that is that the young generation has a different word for charisma now. You know what it is?
No.
They say rizzing.
I'm an old soul.
Oh. Rizzing. So like when a young person,
is that what that stands for?
When a teenager goes, oh, you're risen up here, you got riz. They're trying to say you have charisma. Why you can't just say to somebody you've got a lot of charisma? I don't know. But yeah, so if you ever hear riz, it's someone trying to make a statement about someone's charisma. But and I'm jaded with my teenage boys about that. So so you got riz. That's what that did. So you got riz. So that's a cool thing, man. That charisma is a big deal, and I sensed that the first time we met and we chatted. And I think that it's a lost art of which I believe I also possess, where you treat somebody like a relationship, and that relationship will grow. For yourself personally, you can make a friend from a client, and then you can get other clients from that. And I think that's a business model that's a dying art with the technology, the social media, and the lack of business intimacy. So when you sit here and tell me your superpower is charisma, man, I think that's profound. I think that's fantastic. So that's a pretty badass one, man.
Thanks. I hope, by no means saying it arrogantly, but
yeah,
I think that's, you treat people like you want to be treated. And that's,
amen. That's a golden rule, man. That's been around a lot longer than you and I have been on this earth, and hopefully it'll be here after we're gone, man. Anything else you want to tell my audience, my growing audience, about you, your business, or your superpower before I let you go, brother?
I don't think so, other than thank you, Joe, for having me on. I really appreciate. It's been great to meet you and having our conversations.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm looking forward to working with Joe, not just on this podcast, but outside, referring you business.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Hoping to make sure continue to both grow and locally in this area.
Well, because you're on the podcast, I tell everybody that now you are connected to the Webb with two B's. Okay, so congratulations, you're now connected.
I'm in the Webb.
Speaking of being connected to the Webb with two B's, if you want to get a hold of Sully or his team, I'm going to put his information in the description of the YouTube video, and we'll probably have some fun, do some fun stuff coming up later on. We'll get some short videos out. But thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, I'm your host, Joe Webb. This is the World Wide Web of Lending YouTube channel, and this is the Connected to the Webb podcast. It means a lot you spent your time with me and my guest, Sully, here. Thanks, man. Appreciate your time today. Guys, have a good one, and we'll see you again.